Hi everyone! Welcome to my knitting and crochet vlog where I spend about 30 minutes just talking about the random knitting, crochet, or just general craft projects that I've been working on. This week I've been trying to learn how to do ladderback jacquard, and I've kind of succeeded and kind of failed at the same time. And I've also been working on the cardigan that I've been making my mom. I've been using the Irish Gold Cardigan by Joji Locatelli. So those are my two kind of running works in progress. This year for 2024, I decided that I was going to attempt to get better at color work. And it's been an interesting journey so far. This week is probably the first week I've had kind of a hiccup. I've kind of delved into how to deal with float management with color work because my goal is to knit an all over color work sweater and not have any bunching or just basically have really nice fabric. So I looked into a technique called ladderback jacquard. If you have never heard of it before, it is, let me think of how I can explain this. So you're knitting, and when you have to carry your floats over a long stretch. So depending on, your gauge, maybe like 6-ish stitches, you will take a stitch that's on your needle and do a lower left increase. So you'll go in from the stitch underneath and basically make a new stitch with the color that you're carrying. And while you're making the new stitch, you have your yarn that you're actually working with to the front. You make the stitch with the yarn that you're carrying, and then you move it and bring your yarn back. So long story short, you're basically knitting your floats, and they're pretty much disconnected from your work, but they look nice and neat on the back. And overall, I like the idea. The problem that I'm having, and I'm going to show you the hat that I made in a second. A note about the hat, I basically cast on 96 stitches, and I just decided, hey, I'm gonna do like a checkerboard pattern just because I want to get the hang of carrying these floats. So I didn't follow a pattern. It's just what it is. I used blocks of, I believe, 12 around and around until they were square, and then just alternated the blocks. But anyways, the thing that I've noticed about ladderback jacquard, and this is just from me learning it as I'm going along, it seems like it does really well with things like intarsia, but the problem is I want to do like an all over color work, and I'm not sure how to do that using this technique yet. So I've got like the color blocking, and you'll see this is the hat I made, and I'm going to talk about it in just a second, but I just kind of want to show this. Now it looks okay. I have a lot of issues with it. And I don't know if they're going to show up on camera, but the fabric is really bunchy, and I'm not a big fan of that. And it's because of how I'm inexperienced with carrying the floats. Now, when you put it on your head, it looks fine, but that's neither here nor there. Now, on the back, you can actually see kind of what I'm talking about. So you'll see like the back of knit stitches. So the purl side, like one knit stitch column. See right there? And it goes all the way down the square, and then it'll change the other color. Now, let me see. See, the carrying of the floats is completely separate from the actual hat fabric, which is good, but like I said, I still need to kind of delve into this a little more, especially when we're talking about more of Fair Isle techniques, not so much blocks of color, but patterns and how you would deal with it doing that. So I think that this is a first good step, and the hat it's kind of okay. I don't know, let's see. I'm gonna take my hair down, and it looks fine on head, so I guess that's okay. I think one of the things that would have helped would be if I had this blocked out like on a head shape. I have like a mannequin that can wear a hat, but I really think that if I had blocked it out like in a hat shape, it would have helped. But still, the floats, it's the float management that just wasn't, you can tell how inexperienced I am with it. See how wonky it is? Oh well. So this week, this upcoming week, I'm still going to be trying to delve deeper into ladderback jacquard to see, okay, well, how can I improve? And it's just gonna be practice, right? Because practice makes perfect, or at least makes better, which is what I'm going for. Nobody needs perfect, but like less wonky. Oh well, I did try, and it probably would have helped if I had followed a pattern, but like I said, I had an idea that I just wanted to do like blocks of color to figure out the process and the dealing with bringing your yarn in front and then knitting that stitch and keeping it separate. I had wanted to isolate that process and make it just as simple as possible to learn, so I didn't really want to throw any wrenches into it or any patterns. So, I mean, it's an okay hat. It's definitely not my favorite, but what can you do when you're learning, right? I will no doubtedly put it back in water and block it out and then put it on the mannequin so that it kind of forms to be more of a hat shape. But I did try. Now I have an idea, right? Let me see if I can find the pattern. So I ran across this pattern, and it is the Sinister Cat Cowl and Hat. Now, of course, the pattern, my printer cut off who made the pattern, so I will put it down below, but I'll also put up a picture, but this is what I have in front of me right now, and it's very cute. I'm thinking that I'm going to try to make the hat and use this technique if at all possible. If I can't use ladderback jacquard with it, or I just can't figure it out, or I don't need to use it because the floats just aren't that far apart, I will just try to work through float management, and try to make the color work as non-bunchy and as basically nice as I can. But I thought that this pattern was really cute. There's actually, I believe, now I'm not sure, I think that there's a cardigan like this as well. For some reason, I think I have it in my cart on Ravelry and just haven't gotten it yet. But it's super cute, and I love cats, and my whole family loves cats, so if I make this hat pattern, I might have to make it twice because my kids will probably both want one. I did notice something interesting about this pattern. It appears that you cast on from the crown down, which is really interesting, right? Okay, so I both knit and crochet, and the hat construction for each craft is different. So generally in crochet, I say generally as a not all the time, but from my experience, a lot of the time when you crochet a hat, you work from crown down. Now, on the other hand, generally with knitting, you work from the ribbing and go up and decrease. So this hat is a little bit different. It reminds me a little bit of the muscle burrow, right? Because with the muscle burrow, you start from the crown and you work down. Now, obviously, this isn't 2 hats and double layered, but still, it is pretty neat. So that'll be kind of a fun technique. It also has a cowl, but I don't know if my kiddos won't use a cowl. So I think it's just going to be the hats. I'm excited for this one though, because when I was looking at it on Ravelry, I noticed it and I'm like, you know what? That's going to be a good color work practice. And who knows, maybe I'll be able to one day make the cardigan, hopefully, if there is a cardigan, which I'm pretty sure there is. I'll put it down below if I'm wrong, but I'm almost positive. So that's going to be like my main color work plan for the upcoming week. I'm hoping that I can get a good hat. I will probably, let's see, I have some colors and I've been going through my worsted weight yarn and DK worsted weight yarn, trying to look for some good hat yarn that I can find. I found some from Lion brand. I can't remember what it's called, but I will say it next week whenever I use it for the hat. And I also found some Wool Select, I believe, from Premier. So I do have some good colors in those the Lion brand and the Premier yarns. This hat was made with Cascade 220, which, believe it or not, I can't say I'm starting to run out of, but I've been using it for quite a bit of hats lately. The colors that I have like the light blue, the dark blue, I have black, purple, brown, and kind of like a light brown and then kind of like an orangey brown. But my colors for this for Cascade 220 are pretty limited, so I started looking in my stash to see what else I could find. So the other project that I'm working on is the cardigan for my mom. Now, let me see if I can pull out the instructions here. Do I have a good picture? Good being relative because it's going to be in black and white. Okay, here we go. This is the cardigan, and this is Irish Gold by Joji Locatelli, and I have been a big fan of this pattern. So let me talk a little bit about what happened this week. So I cast on the back, because the cardigan starts, you cast on the back, and then after you work so far down to the back, then you pick up from the cast on edge and you work the front and then the other front. And then eventually you join it all together. So I was working on the back, and I don't know if you can see, but there are these columns of lace, right? And I noticed that one of my lace stitches, my eyelets, was like off a stitch, and it was about this far back, and when you're dealing with finger weight yarn, this far back is a lot, especially when the piece is like 30 inches. So I'm going to include some photos because I actually did take photos of, like, I took a photo of the mistake, and then I took a photo of me dropping down the columns of stitches trying to fix the mistake. What I didn't take a picture of was not being able to fix the mistake and ripping back all of the work and then basically reknitting it. Now, the pictures are going to show that it's just like one eyelet is just off one stitch. And depending on who you are and how you feel about keeping mistakes, you might have been like, no big deal, I would have just left it. And that's definitely valid. And sometimes I'll keep mistakes in, but see, when things are supposed to be symmetrical, and I think that this is one of the things that bothers me and makes me have to take it out, when things are supposed to be symmetrical, so exactly the same on both sides, or like you have columns of things or rows of things, and like it's obvious, like super obvious it's off, I have to rip it out. I do. And so I did. And so that is why let me show you what I have here. I've got like cords everywhere, so you're going to have to excuse me. This is the back piece that so this back piece has been blacked, and it's been blacked and meets gauge. So that made me happy. And you can see the columns, and you can definitely see that they would have looked kind of weird if one was off, which is why I took it out. Now, yesterday I picked up for the front, the left front, and you can kind of see it, but it's just a baby left front, so it's kind of rolling up, plus it hasn't been blacked yet. It is, yeah, right here, see? It is my goal to basically count the stitches on the back and then work that many rows on the front and then black that, let it dry, and then work the right front. Now, part of me, and I probably will do this, is I'm probably going to work halfway through, black it, make sure my gauge is on par with what it has been, and then work the other half of the front, just because it's for my mom and I want to make sure that the gauge is consistent. And if you change gauge midway through a project, you need to know, right, to adjust needle size or whatever. But so far, I really do like the pattern. And so last week when I started talking about, hey, I have all these stitch markers in for each pattern repeat. See, you can see it on the back, right? Tons of stitch markers. Well, the yellow stitch markers are for each pattern repeat. The pink stitch markers are what I put in after I messed up and had that one eyelet off. So these pink stitch markers surround where I'm doing these decreases. So they're not going to be off anymore, hopefully, because like the stitch markers are reminding me that, hey, this is where the decrease is, and if it's not here, something's off. So I'm protected, like hopefully I am protected everywhere. But I've been known to screw up. You know, it's knitting, so everybody makes mistakes sometimes. You can actually see that the front and the back line up as well, which I thought was pretty cool. I love how, like, you know, I think that this is one of the reasons I love making cardigans or sweaters out of fingering weight yarn. It's just so light. This Irish Gold cardigan would be amazing in like a silk, any type of silk yarn. I can't even think of any blends that I've just used that don't have, they don't have like the fuzzy, like the alpaca or mohair in it. So something silky that wouldn't not mess up, kind of like cloud the lace, because you want to see the lace, right? I don't know. It would be interesting to see. I don't think I have any yarn like that though. Not in my stash. Usually I stick to merino and merino nylon. That's pretty much my favorite, but I still think that this would be very pretty in some sort of silk yarn. I'm excited about it though. This is the back, and hopefully I'll be able to do the front. And let's see, we are going on our little staycation for, I think we're going for 2 days, and it's coming up pretty quickly. So I'm hoping that I should have the front and then this front done and then connected, and then once they're connected, it's like, I mean, very easy. It's just like a big stretch of this, which is good, right? Also, let's see what the sleeves are like. They look plain stockinette, which is good. Let me verify that here because I haven't read through. Yes, they are plain stockinette, so there's no lace on the sleeves. So pretty. The sleeves would also be a good, yeah, once I connect the body and work maybe an inch or two, I'll probably go to the sleeves and work those, because even though it's fingering weight and it's not really a big deal to turn it around and around, I do like making the sleeves first. It seems like, in my opinion, it makes the sweater go, or the sweater or cardigan go faster if you work the sleeves before the body, then they're done, and then you go back and work the body. It's just a mind thing with me. Does anyone have any weird knitting quirks like that they like to follow, that might not make a lot of sense, but, like, you know, it's just something that you do. I'm excited about this, and I hope my mom likes it when it's done. I think she will. It's going to be a cardigan that is very multi-season, because it's not too warm and it's just something nice and flowy that you'll be able to put on and wear whenever. Plus it's this really pretty color. This yarn is from Blackbird Sycamore yarns, and it is black, number one black, and I love it. It's very pretty. It's not black in the sense that it's hard to knit with. It's very tonally and gray, and I think that's my favorite part about it. It just looks very nice when it's knit up. But that's pretty much all I worked on this week. I have the big ol' hat fail. Well, I don't want to say fail because I did learn a very good technique here. I just need to learn how to utilize it better, right? And part of that is going to be working on an actual pattern instead of trying to come up with one in my head. As you can see, it kind of like, anyways. I think that'll come out great. I could always make the cowl too. No, yes, maybe. I'll ask my kids and see if they'd wear it, because if they would, if they want like a scarf-like object, then I can definitely make them the cowl. But I know for sure the hat, because I asked both of them and they were very excited about the prospect of having the sinister cat hat. That's so cute. I was looking on Ravelry and I found another, so I went on Ravelry and I went to the pattern search, and I'm doing all of these searches for stranded color work, and I was looking for specific construction or techniques, and it didn't matter what kind of filters I used for Ravelry. For the pattern search, in the search box for the text, I would just put in cat. So no matter what kind of pattern I was looking for, it would come back with some sort of cat-like objects in it. And I found another cat hat that had a really pretty picture of a cat on it just staring at you, and I believe it was called the Stare. And I thought that one was really pretty. But I picked this one, at least at first, just kind of to see if I can figure out a way to use ladderback jacquard with it. I don't know if that's going to be possible. I feel like I have a lot of research to do on how to manage floats in color work in general. Like, is that the best technique? Is there different techniques that you'll use for different types of color work? It's just a whole learning experience, so that's going to be what I'm focused on, just doing some research and trying to figure out the best way to basically mitigate this bunching. Oh well. See, it was fine up here. It seemed to start getting worse when I started to decrease. Which, I mean, I guess makes sense. I moved to DPNs, and one of the reasons I know that it's not as hat-shaped as it should be is because each one of these blocks are 12, and I started decreasing, I'd say right here, and that meant that I had quite a bit to go with this last block. So I kind of stretched out the decreasing, so it kind of went to like more of a cone head shape than a hat. But I mean, you know what? It looks okay on, so we'll go with that. That is all of the knitting and crafting and crochet that I have. No crochet this week, probably not any crochet next week. Like I said, I've been working on trying to perfect color work, and it's going. It's going. I mean, I really did like the hats that I had made before this particular one. So maybe the answer is to just leave long floats. Has anyone done that? How do you guys deal with your floats for color work? Do you go so many stitches and then kind of cross them? How do you catch them is what I'm asking, I guess. Have you heard of any ways that sound like a good idea that you could share down below in the comments? I would appreciate it, because that's what I'm going to be looking for the next couple of weeks. Anyways, that's my knitting and crochet this week. I have read a couple of books. I've been So I've been going through Mary Kubica's books, and I picked up one called Local Missing Woman, which was really good. So the book is about a lady who goes missing at the beginning of the book, and then about a week later, another lady and her daughter goes missing. And the whole book is about what happened to these three people, and is it related, is it not related, and it's a really good story. And I don't want to give any spoilers, but I thought that that was a really good one. The other book that I read was The Other Misses by Mary Kubica, and that was an interesting book. So it is about a lady who has disassociated personality disorder. I believe that's what they called it. She basically blacks out and takes on other personalities as a way to deal with childhood trauma, but she doesn't know that she has it. And it's just a book about that, and I can't give away anything without spoiling the book, but it was pretty good. Now I'm reading The Last One to Vanish, and I can't remember who wrote it, but it's not Mary Kubica, so I'll put it down below. And so far I'm only like an hour or two in, so I'm not going to say much else about it, but it seems pretty good. And as for, that's pretty much all that I've read. As for my AWS class, I am 74% of the way through first pass, and I'm starting to get the hang of it. Hopefully, my next time around, I'll be a little bit more confident, because there's a ton of basically knowledge and information that you have to go through. And so the main goal of taking the class is to get the certification, but that's not the main goal. That makes no sense. Okay, the point of taking the class is to get the certification, but the main goal of taking the class is to learn how to architect. I wouldn't even say architect, to learn how to understand the architecture of AWS and to be able to be comfortable and do things in their cloud environment. So while I could probably spend a month cramming for the certification test, I'm not doing that, because to me that's pointless. What good is a certification if I'm not comfortable doing what the certification wants you, what the certification stands for? Does that make sense? Because cramming for tests is easy. Anyone can do that. I want to be really comfortable in the environment, and that's how I'm approaching it. So if I have to go through the class 2 or 3 times, that's just what I'm going to do. For everything else, we're super excited because we're going away. Not like in a week or two, we're going away for a couple of days, and we'll probably visit a yarn store. And keep your fingers crossed that it doesn't snow in Michigan while we're driving out there or driving back, because that would be a mess. We're going about an hour and a half away, so it's not too far away, but if it snows, it's going to be like we're not going to drive, so I would rather not get stuck somewhere for a day or two while we wait for the roads to clear. Last week, we hit it was like 62 degrees out, and it was so nice and so sunny and so beautiful. And today, it's like freezing. I'm sitting here freezing. You cannot see, but I have a blanket, right, covering my legs because it's freezing. It's like 20-ish, like high 20s outside. So we went from 60-ish to 20-ish in the span of a couple of days, which is cruddy. I can't wait for like just the same temperature for a couple of days, because going back and forth is just not very good. I think that's pretty much it. We have no plans for the rest of the weekend. It's Sunday morning and it's Super Bowl Sunday, so I don't know if I'll watch the Super Bowl. I mean, if it were just like a football game, I'd watch it, but I know that it's going to be a lot more than a football game, and they've got like the commercials and the halftime show, and I'm just not into all of that. I'd rather just like watch the football game. And they've got the big, that like everybody's super excited about Taylor Swift being at the Super Bowl. And I believe like in the middle of the night, last night, I got an email from people saying Taylor Swift has left for the Super Bowl because I guess she was in Japan or something, which is okay, but like I didn't need the email in the middle of the night about it. I'm glad she's gonna get there though. But anyways, it's gonna be another hopefully warm week. I mean, right? Even though it's 20 right now, I can still keep my fingers crossed that it's gonna be 60 tomorrow. I hope that you guys are having an awesome week, and I will see you next weekend. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up or hit the subscribe button, and I would appreciate it. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I'll see you next week. Bye!